I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. 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 No filter, I got no filter.
All right, there's a good chance I will always start the show smiling and giggling at that last clip, just so you know. Welcome to Paramotor Hangout Tuesday nights. I am one of the hosts, Never Trust a Skinny Chef Shane. With me on the panel is Willard Will Fly. How you doing tonight? How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing awesome, man. It's good to be here. Tuesday night hanging with my buds.
Hey, FYI, Mark, it's whoever's on top. And since you always seem to be on the bottom, Mr. Paralife, PPG, what's going on, Mark?
A whole lot of nothing. Glad to be here and glad to be hanging out.
Heck yeah. So here in a little bit, maybe about 15 minutes, we're going to go ahead and start talking about the wing inspection that I had done on my wing. That is now over 3 years old. Some good news, some bad news. Some things I didn't understand, and well, we're here now, so we're gonna all talk about it. Will, what do we got going on the big screen here?
What big screen? What are we talking about?
You got a share screen.
I'm sorry. I gotta stop that.
Man,
That was meant for you guys' eyes only.
Hey, I thought you were trying to throw something out there. I was just like,
no. I mean, now everyone's going to know that I paramotor nude.
There is little to no chance of that. All we just saw was just the tip. It was fun.
That's good. That's what you did there.
You see, and that was the just the tip 0.0.
Oh, come on now.
All right, 0.2.
So there's room for growth.
Exactly. Oh, what's that cup you got there, Mark? That looks like a nice cup. Oh.
It is a nice cup. That's why it looks like one.
Oh, man. All right.
Oh.
Hey,
My
Gavin.
buddy Gavin's in here.
I said it first just because.
Yeah, I just flew with him an hour ago.
Man, is that why you still got your beanie on? Because it's cold?
Yeah, trying to keep this smiling hairdo under wraps.
Dude, I thought it was Ben Shapiro there for a minute.
Got him. So Mark, you flew tonight. Where did you fly from?
We flew from Costco, just flew down south a little ways. Had a pretty decent amount of wind. So we flew into the wind, and cruised around on some nice fields, and then headed back.
All right. Uh-oh, my daughter's home. Will, did you fly tonight?
I did not fly. And actually, my very next flight will be flight 600. So I'm waiting to do it with someone special.
All right. You coming down here, or am I going up there?
I'll probably end up going down there. Most likely.
Well, I can tell you, it was totally flyable tonight, and well, I didn't because I got to get home, cook dinner because my wife, she just doesn't cook. I mean, microwave or frozen pot pies, she's all over. But outside of that, that's it. So here I came home. I worked late, came home, started the pit boss. Got the pork chops sitting out so they could start sweating a little bit, seasoned them up, do them on the grill. She went to Walmart and got some side items for dinner, and she made stuffing tonight. There were side items bought for dinner. She made stuffing. Just one word, stuffing. No stuffings. There was just one stuffing, so we had pork chops and stuffing. Which, if she would have made that last night, I could have stuffed the pork chops and then cooked them, but that didn't happen.
Was it stovetop?
Yes,
Curious about that because that's the best.
yeah, but you don't cook.
No, but I can still appreciate good stuffing and and that it's something. There's certain things that I will not buy generic. Band-Aids, stuffing, things like Q-tips, things like that.
What?
What? No, I won't buy generic Band-Aids or Q-tips.
Why?
Compare the two side by side, and it's like the cotton on the generic one just kind of looks like it's painted on.
Oh,
Regular Q-tip was like puffy, you know.
well,
I feel better now that
Now that you came out with all that,
cotton balls. I won't buy generic. If you look at them, they're just not as dense. The generics.
Dave says, "Congratulations on 600. When will you stop counting? The flight instructor and me will never let me stop counting. I log every single flight."
Well, I do not log. I know Mark takes pictures and voice documents and everything else. The wind speed, the humidity in the air, his weight, how much fuel he started with, how much fuel he ended with, whether he tied his shoes over left and right or left before he did the rabbit ears. There's a whole process with that.
and some of that's actually true.
Hey, that's a good point. That's a really good point. You brought it up. You were kind of kidding, but in my log, I don't have a place for recording fuel economy or fuel usage, and that's something I think we need to pay closer attention to. You know.
Well, I can tell you personally, after I hit 400 flights, I quit counting, and I couldn't tell you. I would probably be, if I had to take a serious guess,
I know what you're going to say.
I would be at probably 480 or 490 in flights.
Okay. I thought you were going to say 601.
No. Again, I've always been completely and open and honest on this channel, and I have no clue because I quit counting at 400. Once I hit 400, I was like, I'm done. Like, there's no point to it. I look at my tachometer now. I just look at how many hours I fly.
Yeah, a lot of pilots do that. Look at their tach, just kind of keep track of it that way.
Like, I have no clue how long I can actually go on a tank of fuel, which I'm fixing to find out here in a couple weeks of just how long I can go on a tank of fuel. But that will be coming up shortly.
I got to post this.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's Dave's comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I know
I
I
don't-
won't be watching.
I don't know how this guy is so funny on this show, but on his own show, he was so stiff. I don't know why he's so funny on this show. I'm totally kidding.
Tell you what, anybody who does a show, if you don't do a show, you can't appreciate all the work and effort that goes into doing it. You know?
Oh, whoa. I put in, okay, Dave put in
He
some
meant a
serious
real show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's talking like,
I'm sorry. What time did you guys come on tonight?
I came on at 7:45.
No. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark?
I think I was here around 7. It was 7 something.
I think it was like 7:50 or something like that. You came on shortly after Will. But literally, we have had no communications of what the show was about. Nothing. Until literally a few minutes before the show started.
Well, not even then.
No, there's
Really?
no effort. Dude, I'm telling you, there's no effort put into this show. And not to say, I've always said this. I've never wanted this channel to be a job for me. If it's a job, I'm out. Like, I don't want to do it if it takes work. So for Sunday, when I put out the thumbnail, that is way more than I'm willing to do. If I could get somebody else to do it, I would pawn it off.
Hey, Krista can't cook, so maybe she could do that.
No, well, she's good at computers. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. Seriously.
Hey, Will, do you want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat real quick?
Sure will. Hey, John Wayne's in the house. Never trust a skinny chef Shane.
That guy
Bill H,
sucks.
what's up, man? Gary Simons. PPG, the other Nick, what's going on, man? Michael Jasper, Scuba Steve, what's going on? Good to have you. David Wolf's in the house. Mark McElroy, Paralife PPG, Angela Preslick. Paramotor NC, what's up, Ben? Gavin Kidd. And have I missed anyone? James, what's going on, man? Still want to fly with you sometime. Remember the good old days. Tony Marzano, what's going on, man? And I think I got everybody.
Did you say Angela?
Angela Preslick. I don't think I said her.
Did you say Angela?
I did not say Angela.
All right, don't forget Angela.
I will.
Okay.
I forgot to call her name one time, so I told her I'd call her twice.
Who's that?
Angela. I forgot to call her name.
I'm gonna see how many times I get Will to say it.
Hey, I got an idea for a topic tonight, and this came to me from. First, let me say this: I got a Bad Apples announcement.
Okay.
All right. It is. Has anyone ever heard of Eugene Cousins? Okay.
No.
I wouldn't have been. I knew I had heard the name before, but he's a paramotor pilot in South Africa that flies paramotors, but he does it to catch poachers. And there's a video which I'll find it. I'll post it on in the chat. He did an interview with Dave Wolf on his life, and he's a really bright guy, and man, he's going to be a guest speaker at Bad Apples. So real excited about that. I mean, this guy has he's just one of those people, that you can listen to and you could just keep listening to him. I mean, he's just got a story that I don't know. He's just an awesome guy. So that's the Bad Apples announcement. And another thing that came up, I talked to David today, and this is a good topic. It's about where do you draw the line when you see another paramotor pilot that you don't know, but say you're driving along and you see a paramotor pilot doing something that maybe you would disagree with as being safe, or maybe it's safe and I don't know. Where do you draw the line to calling that to his attention or trying to find out who it is? What do? Do you call your buddies? Do you track down the guy and cuss him out? Do you just ignore it? Yeah, I mean, so that's the topic.
Well, I got another one for you that to add to this. Good Lord, Mark, you need to shave. I could hear that on the damn microphone here.
I got a good microphone.
So when I first started flying, there were some things I seen that were unsafe that I was taught in school not to do or what have you. But as a new pilot, do you walk up to someone that's been flying, that is flying, and say, "Hey, I think you're doing this wrong"? Like you're a newbie. Do you really come up to somebody that's got all of his gears, got flights in, and tell them that they've done something wrong?
I can tell you what I would do. I did it, didn't you?
No, I did not. I literally was like having a conversation in my head, which is probably the most.
I'm sorry.
No. I mean, seriously, in my head, I was like, I want to go and tell this guy they don't do that because it's not safe. I was taught this. But then again, this guy's already flying. He's already got flights in. Like, who am I? I hadn't even flown more than 10 flights. Like, I'm nobody. So I didn't say anything and just let it go. Everything worked out for this guy, but whatever. I was having a conundrum with myself on what's the proper thing to do. So yes, I understand what you're asking, Will, and I haven't been in that situation to see someone doing something that they shouldn't, and I don't know what I'd do. What would you do, Will?
Yeah, well, specifically, like say I'm flying around and I see someone doing something that I thought was whatever. For the most part, unless it affected me directly or I knew the person, I just go about my day, unless it was so blatantly obvious that they were putting someone's life in danger, yeah, I'd mind my own business. Now we're not talking about being at a fly-in and seeing somebody do something unsafe. We're talking about being out in public and seeing a paramotorist that you know nothing about.
Right. Yeah, I don't like if it, give me a scenario. Like I need a serious.
It's not. I guess it's not that difficult. Okay, so say you see somebody who's out in the middle of the country and they're next to a country road. It's a 2-lane road. Church is just getting out, but like he's out in a vacant field. There's country for miles, and you see him foot drag. And in your opinion, now this is just a for instance, okay? Let's say in your opinion, you don't think he should be doing that. Right or wrong, I'm not saying that I would agree with that. I'd mind my own business, but you disagree with it. You don't think he should be doing it. Would you confront the person?
If I thought it was dangerous to the sport and or bystanders, I think so. I think I would.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be aggressive about it. I wouldn't go and yell and scream and holler. I'd just be like, look, dude, this sport is gonna have a whole lot of rules and regulations. If we keep acting like this, we might want to think about what we're doing while we're flying. Prime example at Ben's house, there's that road in the field right next to it, and we were flying into the field, perfectly safe, not in a congested area, blah blah blah. But there was cars stopping on the road, watching us, and when we got further away, we actually had that black SUV with the kids sticking out of the sunroof, sitting on the side of a road, or actually in the road. They stopped in the road. I mean, truthfully, that's not safe for the vehicle, but we can't control what they do. We can control what we do.
I like what Gavin says in there about putting the LZ at risk. That would be enough to make you go over there and have a talk with them.
Yeah, that would be something that I'd have a personal connection to, or if it was a friend's LZ. I mean, because those are hard to come by, and of course, Shane, you know my personal situation. I mean, I was real adamant about someone messing with my LZ, but it was, you know, the last 5 times there was an engine out, a fuel outage, land out, 2 like stuck mics and taken off at the same time airplane. So, I mean, if I've got a horse in the race, yeah, man, I'm going to defend it.
Right.
Absolutely. Let's see if I can get Dave in here. It's okay with you guys.
Yeah, I like this question right here. He says, Shane, how about someone flying 300 feet off the ground parallel to a highway? Is that okay if he's doing something? If he is doing something wrong, is he breaking any rules or laws? And I can tell you that personally, this has happened to me, and I never posted a video. I never even made a video. All evidence has been deleted. I actually, and it's not because I did anything wrong. So there is a major road, and it's a lot of cow farm pastures and stuff next to it. And I literally, my wingtip was over the sidewalk, which is probably another. It's a good distance. It's I'd say 30 yards from the road to the sidewalk, and I was flying over the pasture, but my wingtip was actually probably really close to going over the sidewalk. I had made this trip. This was my second day in a row making this trip, and on the second day, I actually ran into a sheriff sitting in an unmarked car on the side of the road. And just as I flew by, he threw his lights on, and I turned and went away from the road and did my normal route that I normally take. When I landed, I put all my gear away, went to put my truck in drive, and sheriff pulled in behind me and detained me and asked me all kind of questions. And there was threats of taking me to jail. Told me they said that the farmer said that I was running his cattle. I said, well, I hope he's got video, because if not, I have video that proves that I never went over any cows. My GPS tracking shows that I never went in the area of the cows, which I don't fly over cows. I've always turned away from cows. So if I told him, I said, so if they have video, please let them go ahead and charge me with harassing of farm animals, whatever you want to call it. And I will take them to civil court and sue them for wrongful arrest and blah, blah, blah. Well, he didn't like that very much and then started this. It was a big, long story. Anyways, I went home that day, no fine, no ticket, no whatever. And that cop later found out that he doesn't have a dog in the fight, if you will, because we're federal aviation. We fall under federal aviation. And everything I did was nothing of breaking the law. I never flew over anybody. I never flew over any houses. It's all open fields. Was I flying next to a road? Yes, I was. But I was over a pasture. So that having a good question from Dave about, flying 300 feet off the interstate. Now, if I seen cars stopping on the interstate to look at me, I think I would avoid that area because now it becomes a problem. You're not in control of the person driving the car. You didn't make them stop. They wanted to stop to watch you. What do you got here?
So David Wolf saying, here's another scenario. Early Sunday morning in the winter at an amusement park that is closed for the season. Empty parking lot. Pilot flies 10 feet off the ground. Is he good or not good? I'd need to see a picture of the parking lot, but it's a wide open parking lot and nothing around. I don't see a problem with that.
Well, it says congested area.
Oh, it's in a congested area?
No, well, he's saying it's at a park.
At an amusement park. That's a good point because everything the way I understand it is congested area. The presence of people or not isn't what is defining a congested area. So I'd need more information on that because there's a lot of places. There's like a lot of parking lots that are like, yeah, it's a big parking lot and it's right next to, surrounded by country. You look great, Dave.
Yeah. So I've determined I cannot find my Paralife shirt anywhere.
Oh.
Every time I'm about to come out, I'm digging through the drawers. I'm like, I can't find the damn shirt. I wonder if it's in my cargo trailer. It could be in my cargo trailer.
Did you check the garbage?
No.
That's the first place to look.
It could be in the cargo trailer, though. Either way, I need to get a new one. So, no, what I meant by that, so that is not a congested area. It's an amusement park this time of the year here in Ohio where it's closed for the season. There's nobody at the park. And you're right next to a highway. And I think what a lot of the people, so something just happened yesterday where some people were flying in the same area and some pilot sends me a message out of nowhere saying, who is this person? They're going to get us in trouble and da-da-da. But there's nobody that's going to get you in trouble. Nobody cares that much. Okay. Nobody just cares. They're excited to see people flying. But this person has been so scared out of his mind by someone telling him, oh, you can't draw attention to us. We're going to lose everything. And my point is, just don't care. And so that's why I brought it up with Will this afternoon is where's that line that we can cross or not cross or go up to and still have fun and still do all the stuff that we want to see. I remember seeing once a video of a pilot on YouTube who flew over with my friend Ross over to the what's it called? Next to Las Vegas, the
Strip,
the Hoover Dam.
Dave, is that your dog barking?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go into a different room.
No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't that $3,800 dog.
I mean, if someone can go to the Hoover Dam, right? So I'm gonna go ahead. That gives us a lot of leeway to do things too, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Hoover Dam is definitely a congested area.
Well, I'm talking about a Tucker Gott video. And in that video, he flies right up to the Hoover Dam. Well, that certainly is drawing attention to a paramotor pilot.
It is, but I don't know if that would be considered a congested area there. I mean, that's like you've got the reservoir on one side, right? Mm-hmm. And on the other side, it's basically just a drop off, right? And it's like water, right?
Right. So Will and I were talking about a flight that I had this past fall where I flew into a stadium. Now, I didn't fly. Okay, you can consider a stadium a congested area, sure, but I did have permission to fly in. But I still didn't fly over any people. The route that I took made sure that nobody was underneath me flying into that stadium. How do we feel about flying a certain height above a interstate, a busy interstate?
Well, technically, as long as you, from your point of view, do not fly over a moving car or person. I mean, to go from the compound to the beach, you have to cross 95. Then you have to cross US 1. And then you have to, once you get across the river, you have to cross A1A to get to the beach. So
Right.
I wouldn't say let's be high enough to cross or to cover a 18 wheeler coming by, but I would say if you're 3, 4, 500 feet, and I have done this, and I feel dumb doing it because I feel like I'm Frogger,
Boom.
because I will sit there, run parallel to the road until it's safe, and then I do the Frogger thing. Don't get hit.
That's
by the
exactly
car.
what I said to Will earlier. We're playing
It
Frogger
is.
on the highway. Yeah, exactly. And
I have done that.
Bill H just made a great point there with the comment. We don't wreck if we see a hot air balloon flying low. Yeah. So we were talking about this. Will may or may not have caused an accident by flying and someone watching him. But yes, when we're flying next to the interstate, people are watching us all the time. Does that mean we're responsible if there's an accident? No, of course not. Because what happens if a hot air balloon is flying over? Or even a better example, Bill, that I said to Will earlier, what if a plane is flying over and they're pulling a sign behind them? And you're trying to look up at the sky while you're driving and read what that sign says. Don't you have a much better chance of getting into an accident than looking at someone flying a paramotor?
I agree.
Probably. Yeah, probably. And I mean, realistically, a paramotor is probably more of a novelty to most people. They're not used to seeing it. But I completely agree. I mean, it's not our responsibility to keep people from looking at us, you know.
Right. That was actually a question in class that I went to when I went to Four Winds. He's like, if you're next to a really busy highway and you're in the field playing around, going down low, foot dragging, doing whatever, are you responsible for whoever changes lanes and hits a car next to them, or the car in front of them hits the brakes to see to watch you, and someone rear ends them? Who's responsible? And what I was told is it is not our responsibility for those who are driving in a vehicle. Your job is to maintain.
Yeah, you're supposed to fly by and like put your finger to your nose.
Not it.
Sorry, bud.
But yeah, anytime you go from mainland to the beach here in Florida, you have to cross 95, you have to cross US 1, and you have to cross A1A. So most of the times, US 1 is not a problem because we are climbing to get to the 2,000 foot mark to cross the river. And so that's if you're in the very middle of it and something happens to your motor, 2,000 feet is more than enough room to make it back across where you came from or to the beach and not go into the river.
Yep. And if you think about, these are the things I talked about with Will, if you think about Harley Milne crossing the country, he had to have crossed some interstates. Or Mark Honeycutt crossing the state of North Carolina, he had to cross some interstates. And here's the thing too, and Will, I'm sorry I'm repeating everything we talked about, but
That's all right.
you know, we talked about how about a year ago there was an accident in Texas where a plane flew into a paramotor. Remember that? Did anything come out of that? Did any new regulations, any new FAR? Nothing. And how many casualties in the last 4 years have we all seen? But has anything from paramotors? But has any new regulations or any new laws come out? No, nothing. Nothing has changed in the last 4 or 5 years. Okay? So my point is, the FAA just doesn't care. They're not sitting there. Most people are looking up going, oh man, that is awesome. And there's so few FAA people that are going to stop their cars and goes, oh, I see he's doing something he shouldn't. Let me try to find out where he's going to take off and land from so that I can come up and say something. They're just not going to spend the time to do that. Doesn't mean we should be breaking any laws. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I don't think we need to be so concerned of doing things that, oh my gosh, is someone going to say something every single time? Someone posted a comment. Someone disagreed with something.
No,
No. It's this one here. It was John Wayne saying, "I don't disagree. However, the logic won't matter if someone complains loud enough."
Right.
Well, this farmer that actually called the sheriff on me, they're a major contributor to the sheriff's department every election, if you will. So that was pretty much and the sheriff literally saw me turn because when I was flying past him, I went up at about another quarter mile and then seen the cows and turned around and came back to avoid the cows. So when he's like, "Oh, you're running cows," I was like, you saw me go right in front of the cows, get up to the cows and turn around because there was cows there." And he tried everything he could to get me to admit to something, but I didn't do anything wrong the day before or that day. So it was pretty much, I'm going to look into this. Well, I was like, well, good luck. You might want to start with FR 103. Like, he's like, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, it's the Federal Aviation. What is it? Federal Aviation Association. What is FAA?
Yes. Will,
Okay.
you're muted.
Yeah, but he sounds great.
Yeah, he does.
Will, you are muted. God, you think
Federal Aviation Administration, but I thought you were talking about the FARs.
no,
So,
but
yeah.
that either which way, it doesn't matter. The guy, you're on the ground. So he was talking about trespassing. I was like, I never touched your property. He's like, so you mean to tell me you can fly? I go, drones can. Well, those are drones. You're a person. And I'm like, okay, I'm still videotaping your property or whatever from 60 feet in the air. And then a plane happened to fly over, and this was after the guy had already threatened to take me to jail. And I was like, "Oh, better get him for trespassing." It was like a 737 or something.
You were brave, man. I gotta say.
Oh, the video, dude, the video was classic, man. It was the most beautiful blue and cloudy sky behind the sheriff, dressed to the T's, perfectly uniform. And once he told me he was taking me to jail, my mouth just. I had already decided I was going to end the entire ride to the sheriff's department. I was going to be doing this in the car, the entire, just shaking it, just aggravating the shit out of him.
Shane, what did he say he was going to take you to jail for?
Well, first of all, he told me when he yelled, "Yo," because I'm in the middle of a field. You don't look in your rear view mirror to take off. Like you're in the middle of a field. Like I just put it in drive and started going. And he's like, "Yo," and I looked in my side mirror and I was like, "Oh shit, it's a cop." So I put it in park, turn my truck off. I got out, and he's like, "We got a problem." I'm like, "Okay, what's your problem?" I was like, "It's a paramotor
problem."
No, I go, "What's the problem?" Because I thought I literally 1000% thought he was going to ask me what a paramotor is, and I was going to have to go through the whole rigmarole, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "I'm investigating you." I'm like, "Okay, for what?" Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I've made this flight 100 times. It's the same flight over and over and over. And he's like, "Well, we got a report that you've been running cattle, you're trespassing." I was like, "First of all, I never touched the ground or touched their property, so I'm not trespassing." I said, "It literally states that I have to be upon the property and nothing about over the property." I said, "But if they don't want us to fly over the property, they can buy the air rights and keep us from flying over it." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know nothing about that." I go, "Okay." So I was totally cordial with this guy, and he was just hell bent and determined to take me to jail that day. And this was actually my wife and my daughter were in Ohio, and they were actually getting on board of a plane to come to Orlando. And I called my wife and I said, "Hey, if I don't answer the phone when you get back, that's because I'm at the county sheriff's department and I'll probably need bail." And she's like, "What? What did you do?" I go, "Fly my paramotor." And she giggled because she thought it was funny too. And so I tried to explain to the officer, we can't fly over congested areas. He's like, "Well, your wing was over the sidewalk, and an hour before you got there, somebody was walking on the sidewalk." Okay, but did I fly over them? Well, no, they were there an hour before. Okay, well, I've thought about bank robbery. Am I going to jail today for bank robbery that I thought of 5 years ago? No, it didn't happen. They weren't there at the same time I was. It didn't happen.
Well, first of all, he's got no jurisdiction.
And I explained that to him, and he even got more pissed about that. He didn't want to be told he didn't have a pot to piss in. And then now you guys have met my friend Jason. Jason is in law enforcement, and Jason, Krista's like, call Jason and see if he can help you. And I was like, holy crap, I never even thought of that. Like, I never thought about calling my hunting buddy to get me. But I didn't.
Your honey bunny?
My hunting buddy.
Oh, it sounded like you said honey bunny.
Honey bunny.
That's what.
It's kind of like the Brokeback Mountain thing when he goes hunting.
Yeah. So, anyways, I called him up, and he's like, "What's the guy's name?" I'm like, "I have no idea." So I walked to the side of the car, and I was like, "Hey, what's your name?" He gave me the name, and then I told my buddy, and then he's like, "I'm gonna call him. I know who he is." I'm like, "Okay." Well, he didn't answer Jason's call. So this guy, after running my name, gets out of the car, and he's like, the guy that you had call me would agree with me that you clearly have broken some laws. I'm like, so what law did I break, and when are you taking me to jail? Well, I got to work on that. I was like, isn't your job to know the laws? And he's like, I can't know all the laws. I'm like, you get a full paycheck, don't you? Like at this point, all S was given away. I didn't care. I kept poking and prodding, and I even skipped when he said. And I asked him, I go, "Am I free to go?" He's like, "Yeah, you're free to go." I turned and skipped away, going nanny boo boo. Like I literally was just pushing buttons. And when that guy called Jason back, he's like, "You know this guy? This guy's a freaking asshole." Like just started yelling and screaming at Jason. Jason's like, "You don't have any jurisdiction." And he's like, "That's what your buddy said." And he's like, you're the county. You're not the aviation. You don't have a pot to piss in." And then they had like a whole hour-long conversation, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, dude, it's retarded. Like, you can't. I didn't, first of all, I did nothing wrong. I didn't touch anybody's property. I didn't harass anybody. I didn't fly over any houses, any congested areas. Flying next to a road is got nothing to do with nothing. If I was flying in the middle of the road and cars were having to swerve around me to avoid hitting me, now you got something to go on. But I was nowhere near the road. I was more than 30 yards from the road, but I was kicking grass the entire time. I will tell you that.
Mark, there was that comment a few moments ago that was on the screen about if something should fall off the paramotor while you're flying over traffic.
Yeah, Ben said that.
How do you feel about that, Mark? I mean, what's the chance? Yeah, I can't remember a time where I landed and then there was something missing from my paramotor. So
Battery pack for me.
I don't have a battery pack.
Part of a prop.
So the chance of that happening is so slim. And to happen right over traffic, it's even more slim if you think about how little of time of a flight that you spend over that traffic. Could it happen? Sure. Is it a one in a huge number? Sure. But how do you feel about that, Mark?
I mean, if anything falls off, if you hurt somebody on the ground, you're gonna lose.
Right. 100%.
That's what I think. Yeah, but I mean, I fly over the interstate. I fly over like when we leave Costco, that's a 6-lane highway. We fly right over it. We get altitude before we cross it, but still, you're over it.
And what do you feel is enough altitude?
To cross that road, 300 feet.
Okay. I was saying to Will earlier, if I'm flying at 400 feet, most people don't have the depth perception to know if I'm at 400 feet or 800 feet because you look so small at 400 feet even.
Yeah, and that's true. Most people don't have a clue when it comes to vertical height. I mean, I have trouble judging that. So I'd say that you should fly at an altitude that if your engine quit, you can make a safe landing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's
a congested, spot.
at 300 feet. If you're at 300 feet and approaching that 6-lane road and you lose a motor, you can make it across easily to a field, or you can turn around.
I 100% agree. Do we want Dave, while you're here, have you had a wing inspection and any I want to kind of get into this real quick before we get too far because it was supposed to be at 8:15 and we're at 8:41 now. So have you had any wing inspections done on any of your wings?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So did you have any bad inspections or concerns on any of your inspections?
Actually, if you give me a second, I think I may still have, or I might have just tossed out my last wing inspection, which was on my Spider.
Okay.
Do you want me to go grab it?
Yeah. Because
Let me see if I have it. I might have tossed it out, but I might have it. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right. Hey, Will, I'm gonna step out too. Me and Dave are gonna go meet in the same room. I'll be right back.
All right, I'm going to step out. Mark, you got this?
Mark, you got it.
All right. There might not be anybody left in the audience when you all get back, but whatever.
Yeah. John Wayne brought up an interesting point about easements and airspace and flying over private property. And so I was looking over some of there's a lot to read, but the Supreme Court did make a finding or whatever. It was 1946. There's been changes to that. There's been regulation changes too. At this point, that's all I know about it, to be honest. His point was, if you start messing with people's quiet enjoyment of their property, yeah, that could be a problem. But one's criminal and one's civil. So, man, in civil court, funny things happen. So, there's this document I'm over right here. It's a 43-page document, a PDF file called "Low Altitude Airspace: A Property Rights No Man's Land." It's the Journal of Air Law and Commerce. I will post a link to that, super chat or a chat, and it might make for some interesting reading. It's like, look, from what I understand, it looks like it starts, it talks about the Supreme Court's decision, and then it goes forward from there. So, interesting.
I'm gonna have to. Hey, Will, text that link to me, or I'll just come back and do it off of here. That's fine.
So in my hand is my dog. Is the last wing inspection I had. This is from Air Toys. I believe they're in Arizona. And I sent them, this is right after I got my Dudek drift air. So now that I had another one, I said, okay, I'm going to send this one. And this is the same wing that's been in the lake over at Hodges, in the river over at Purdon's. And I've flown it. Gosh, I got a lot of hours on it. I've done, a lot of acro on it. It's the only wing I'll do a sat on now. So, and when it's funny because last time I saw Andy back at Hodges last year, he had said there's no way this thing is going to pass porosity. There's no way. I mean, it feels like a sheet at this point. But it did pass. So it says here, overall condition is good. Out of very good, good, used, very used, and failed. So good. Passed complete inspection, re-inspected in 1 year or 100 hours, new factory line set installed. So I got all new lines, 100% new lines, because I'm sure I stretched the crap out of them and they weren't even. And it was signed off in the center of the wing. Porosity was used, and it says 140.4 seconds. So I guess that's a way of measuring porosity. Fabric strength pass.
What was the last part?
It says porosity, and it says 140.4 seconds.
144.4 seconds.
So I don't know exactly what that means. You can see it right. So there it says porosity.
Yes. That's interesting.
Yeah. It looks like it was tested at the center. And then, I guess I can show you all this. So fabric strength passed. And then it says line integrity is all very good because they were all brand new. New factory line set installed. And they were 100% all replaced. It says right here. And it says here, riser inspection. This is a very thorough inspection here.
Yes.
Everything passed. I don't have tip steering handles, but I do have the tip steering. Canopy inspection. So it says leading edge was good. Trailing edge good. Line tabs very good. Upper sail and lower sail are good. Interior structure very good. Stitching very good. Cleanliness and color. It's a little faded. It says mild field patina, a few bled through stains. That must be my blood. Red on the lower surface. And canopy repairs, none.
DNA
So-
tech.
So, I mean, hey, it's still worth probably about $2,000 in value. But
Did they make a distinction between the tips, the wing tips, and the mid part of the glider?
did they say that again?
Like a distinction between the outer surface and the inner surface of the glider?
Like
So it
strength
says
wise.
porosity was tested in the center. I don't know why it wasn't tested in the whole thing, but that's okay. No, I don't think it. I think I just went through everything, so it didn't say anything different about the tips
Okay.
versus.
So everything on my wing passed except for the outside tips, or the tips of the wing were showing more wear than the ends, or than the center of the wing. And the explanation to that is I fly in the morning and afternoon where the wind or the sun is more out to hit the wingtips than it is the top of the canopy. Like more direct, if you will.
Really?
So 400 on 3/4 of the top of the wing. Then when it gets out to the outside edge, it hit 200 for the what is the word I'm looking for? Porosity. What is it?
Porosity.
Yeah. So, and we're talking a little over a 3-year-old wing with two. I'd say honestly that wing has sat in the sun, whether it be flying, kiting, or putting it away. Because I do not leave my wing out. As soon as I'm ready to fly, my wing gets laid out. Will and Mark will tell you, I lay my wing out. Within 2 minutes, I'm in the air, like I'm out. And then as soon as I land, that wing gets put back in the bag and covered up. So that was my explanation to. So I had Andrew Fuller do my wing inspection, and he was going to come on tonight, but yesterday he had a tooth pulled, so he was not able to talk tonight, which I completely understand. I'm going to have him come on maybe next week and recap the wing inspection. Everything else passed. All the stuff that you just said on your inspection, all of mine passed, except for it was a little weak on the wingtips. And I don't, that was the only explanation he can come up with, is maybe flying early, morning and afternoon, that they're getting hit with the sun more than the rest of the wingtip. Or
That's
the
hard to
wingtips.
believe.
I
Andy's an expert, but that seems hard to believe that. That the ultraviolet would. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. It seems hard to. Thank you. It seems hard to believe that the ultraviolet would find just the tips and not the full canopy, and to a point where that's really weird.
And then he also asked me if I kite the wing, do I do tip drags on the grass or whatever?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I
Only
hardly
when you're
ever.
launching.
Oh yeah, that's Mark. That's Mark. He's definitely got one side that is way worn out than the other side. But I don't really kite that often. And I know that's against everything I was taught in school. You're supposed to kite more than you fly.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, screw all that.
Whatever.
No.
Just send it.
That's what I say. If the wing comes up and I hit, if it looks good, feels good, I'm out.
I practice kiting every time I launch for about 2 seconds, and then I'm flying.
That's my theory.
Seriously, come on.
What'd you say, Dave?
I said I practice kiting for about 2 seconds every time I launch.
Yeah, no kidding.
So you haven't thrown that inspection away, have you?
Me?
Yeah. No, no, I don't hear you, Dave.
I mean, this inspection that I'm holding in my hand?
Oh, you know what? I'm looking at you on YouTube. Like that's not matched up, man. Yeah, that inspection.
No, I haven't thrown it away.
Yeah, it said the porosity test. It gave us seconds, right? How many seconds? I was just looking that up.
140.4 seconds.
So it's the amount of air that can be passed through it over a certain period of time, and that's how they determine the porosity. So I guess that makes sense. That's interesting. I mean, I never really knew that.
All right, here's a good. So I hardly ever take off from the road or land in the road. There is a chance that when I lay the wings down or lay my wing down, that it does not necessarily go straight down and like backwards. Sometimes I do get a little. Hell, I do more frontals than I do. I get tired. I'm fat. I can't outrun the wing.
And I don't think it could be from the water because your whole entire wing was in the water. So that
Wow,
couldn't
you
be
had to
it.
throw that in there, didn't you, Mark?
Hey,
Yeah.
maybe I had more fish in the wingtips than I had anywhere else in the wing.
Well, so that's a good question for Andrew then. I mean, because I'm not understanding. I would think like it would be the center that would be much worse than the.
Well, he said that for paragliders, because they go in the middle of the day, the sun is directly above. Their test for their center of their wing doesn't pass as well as the tips.
Because of the angle of the sun hitting the tips, because you fly more in the early evening hours or the afternoon hours.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw a theory out there. Could be completely wrong, but maybe you're getting more wear and tear on the tips because when you turn, the speed is faster on the tips than it is at the center.
Now, Krista, my wife did ask if it was anything to do with being in the air, wing overs, because I love wing overs and I love doing big ears. Nothing in the air is going to change the porosity of your material because of the air.
So be light.
Yes, something to do with being on the ground. That's me. That's when you see me doing this, it's me catching mosquitoes. Yes, we still have mosquito season here.
I think you're just packing your bag wrong. You're packing the glider improperly.
Must be, man.
I do a rosette. What is that? A rosette?
Rosette.
That's how I pack it and have.
Yeah,
since
you do a Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, sure.
Dang, I don't have the patience to do that. I just gather my cells, pull them together, throw them in the center.
It's the
That's
same
a
thing.
rosette. That's a rosette.
Well,
the same thing.
Mine, it's not pretty when I do it. I mean, it's good. It's okay for the wing, but it's
You do
like
a tulip then.
yeah, we call it a tulip.
I actually fold mine every time, almost always. Not every time,
Yeah.
almost always. I do a full folding.
Yeah.
Just it gives me another chance. I feel like I'm taking a second look and taking my time to inspect the wing as I'm putting it away.
Hey, Tony, some of us don't have buttholes, just so you know.
I don't have a butthole.
Me neither.
No butthole.
I save that for my personality. Hey, Dave Wolf, you see this this first annual fly-in right here behind me in the background? I'm just
Are you
saying.
going to talk about it some more?
Oh, she can't see that. Not yet. It is out there. Nope. It is out there. It is 99% a 100%. Well,
I heard a little something about it. I think you and I are probably the only ones that know. Well, maybe you told Will and Mark about it. But I think there's going to be a special donation made to that fly-in from the Bad Apples fly-in.
I did not hear about that, but that would be 1,000% awesome.
Well, I think you should be surprised when you receive it now. And don't anybody tell you. Tell Tim I told you.
Okay, no one, dude. There's 4 people watching. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
and they're all on the show.
They're on the show.
there's 28 watching,
Yeah.
but hey.
There's gonna be a little love given out for Flight for Gage.
Well, that's really nice, man.
No, I know. Dude, I'm not going to be any good. At the end of this, when it comes to Saturday night doing the whole, like, on the microphone, thanking everybody, I'm not going to do good, just so you know. I
You don't
don't.
have to. Do
It's
your
just-
best.
Yeah, well, I might have to send Will up there. He's going to be the guy. What is five?
Up where?
On the microphone on Saturday night to thank everybody, I haven't got a 100% guarantee on Stevie coming out to do live guitar again. But if you watch Will's videos, Ben's videos, or Mark's videos, Mark, did you have Stevie doing?
No.
Okay, so it's Ben and Will's videos of Hardy Lake. This friend of ours came out and was singing tunes or whatever around the campfire. So I think we're going to set him up out back on Saturday night after dark and do a little set for everyone.
Cool, man. This is impressive here. Did you see that? After 8 years, the bottom side of Shane's Planet Shane, he says it passed porosity at 100%. Did you
Well, how many?
a lot or
Oh.
not at all?
I mean, okay. So, and I'm not busting on him at all. Shane, can you tell me, out of those 8 years, how often or how many hours is on that wing of flying and kiting? I mean, if
He hasn't flown it yet. That's brand new still.
at 8 years,
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
Will and I both were like, "What?"
He hasn't flown it yet. Still at 100%.
Oh man.
Hey, that's one way of not messing up any of your gear. You just don't fly. You can be like, I'm 8 years in, haven't torn nothing up.
Yeah.
Now you tell me.
Yeah, right.
Wheels.
So yeah, there is going to be shortly a video of the fly-in area, and I will tell you, from the gate to the LZ in the back is 2 miles. I did a video of the entrance where you check in at, showing power lines that are up front through the park, and I had to 4 times the speed because the video would have been 38 minutes long. It's now, what is it, 12 minutes long, Will?
Yeah, it's about right.
So
Yeah.
I had to 4 times showing speeding through the park and showing the LZ. There's 2 LZs, which is, I think, unique to a fly-in. Let's say that you do not have a confidence or the skill level to launch or land in a busy LZ. You can choose to go up front. There's an LZ up front, and there's one out back. The one out back is 4 or 5 times bigger than the one up front, and the one up front is huge. It is. I could guarantee 100 pilots could launch from there, and no one would be crowded. The one in the back, you could probably get. What would you say, Will? 300 to 400 pilots to take off and not be crowded. And the whole back LZ.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, not at the same time. I mean, there's plenty of room. Both LZs, there's plenty of room. They're both big fields, not as big as, like you said, the one in the back. I'm kind of distracted. I was reading some of the chat there.
No you porn while we're doing the show, Will.
It was 20 hours, I think. Shane's Planet Shane said it was 20 hours on his wing. And I've often heard that, you could take a wing and stick it in a closet and it could still degrade. So that kind of proves that a little bit. I don't know. Have you heard that?
I've never heard that, but man, that makes, like, my wing is sitting here inside the house, inside of, well, it's not air conditioning right now because we had the windows open because it's like 75 here. You know what I mean, right, Dave? 75 outside. But my wing is zipped up tight, so no ultraviolets can get in. Like, there's no way the light could even get to it, but I still have it just zipped up tight as a drum because I don't want to waste any UV light hours on my wing. I need this wing to last me until either A, it doesn't pass an inspection, or 2, I get bored of it. And right now I'm not bored of it. Oh. All right.
So is this you're still talking about the same blue wing that you've always had?
Yeah, that's the only one I've ever had.
Question: when are you going to start trying some different wings?
So I have.
Are you scared of falling in love with something and wanting to buy it and don't want to go down that route?
No. My 100 biggest concern is actually messing up that wing and then having to pay for it right then and there.
Oh, Shane, you're better than that. You don't need to be concerned about that.
No, I'm telling you, like Mark, I know 100%. Mark and I have talked several times about flying each other's wings. Mark, and I say this lovingly, Mark would not give 2 craps if I tore his wing up on that flight. He'd just be like, all right, no big deal. I still won't fly his wing. Like I want to, but I don't want to. And oh yeah. Fight. Oh yeah. That was
Ruby,
awesome.
so you're sorry.
No, the fact that she blew that in your face was the best part. Now turn around the other way and let it rip.
I love that dog. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Ruby apologizes. Look, you got to try some new wings. You got to see what else is out there, because here's the thing too. Your wing is outdated.
How do you figure?
For technology, there's better wings out there.
Oh yeah.
So it's not bad to try out a new wing. And like my Spider, I don't need to keep my Spider, but I'll keep it as a backup. But I love that drift air, and I wouldn't fly anything else. You should try some wings, and don't worry about messing them up. You're not going to mess them up. You don't need to be worried about that. As long as that glider comes above your head, and then you hit your power, you're out of the worry zone.
So I have flown outside of the SIV, because I don't think that really counted. I flew a 30. God, I think it was a 32 or a 34 meter ozone at SI. It was so hard. I ended up in the water more times than I ended up in the air. That's besides the point. And I've only flown an ozone 2, I think, a Spider 2 or what, a smart car, Brian's wing that he had. Dude, I ran full throttle, running, added pressure, kept running. And this wing was not a small wing. I was like, Jesus, once I got in the air, the wing was really responsive, really great. And I was just like, holy crap, I've never had to run that far, but I ran forever. I almost ran the whole length of the compound. So it's just, for me, I'm not ready to buy a new wing yet. And when I get ready to get to that point, I will start demoing wings. Eric Farewell at Aviators asked me if I wanted to fly a couple different wings. I was like, nope, I'm good. Like, I've had options.
Yeah.
I just haven't done it.
It's listen, when you get the confidence, and you shouldn't rush, but when you get the confidence, it's so much fun to try out other people's wings. Like I've had a couple of opportunities to fly Chris Holbert's Carve, right? That he does so much crazy stuff on, and that's a bunch of fun. Yeah, I mean, just go out there and try and experience, and as I'll tell you, from doing this, you can speak more intelligently about more and more wings, because you have a good idea of how they all compare to each other.
Well, ask Mark about the was it a Carve, Mark, that you tried? Or was it
the Falcon?
The Falcon.
Yeah, I went from my 27 meter to a 21. That was a prop.
Not a problem. It was a problem.
That was a problem.
Maybe should have kited that one first.
Is that what V-Bob Willie's talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. That's what he's talking about.
I gotcha.
Hey, is Bob going to the fly-in in June? Asking for a friend. I'm just saying.
He should. He needs to go to that, and he needs to get out there in his camper. He just had a birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Yeah, happy birthday. Also, Mr. Laney's birthday, too.
No, his daughter's.
Oh,
I think it was
happy birthday to his daughter, then.
Yes. Dave, quick question: have you watched Will's video or Paramotor NC's video of Hardy Lakes?
It would be Paramotor NC's video.
What did I say?
You said Will's. I haven't done mine yet.
Oh no, I thought it was Christmas time. Sorry. Moving on.
Sorry, I was muted.
What are you waiting on?
What's that?
What is Will waiting on for Hardy Lakes video?
Oh, I don't know. Life, I mean, like, got a life.
Will's so slow on videos. It's not even fun waiting for him anymore.
Dave, I have a question. So my 2019 wing is outdated. What is my 29 years with my wife? What is that?
Just getting started.
Yeah, it's not outdated. I'm asking for a friend.
Just getting started.
Oh,
No, I mean, I totally agree. If you look at the difference between, my first wing was the Colorado, no, it was the Charger, and then the difference between the Charger and the Charger 2. I mean, yeah, the wing I'm flying now, the Colorado's outdated, I'm sure.
right.
So, I mean, that was it kind of makes you wonder. I mean, how much can we advance a wing? How far can we go? I mean, you wonder, like, well, what's next? I mean, you change you work with the material, you work with the lines, and there's only a handful of things. So, I mean, you got, of course, the design, that's just kind of neat to see things.
And then cut your meters by 40% and get down there on a 14-meter wing like these guys are doing now.
Yeah.
That'll do something for you.
Yeah, I guess the big thing is where do you want to go with your flying? What do you want to do? If you're happy with what you're flying, then you don't need to change anything. If you want to go faster, like for me, I hated when I started off with an Atom 80, I hated being the first one off the ground and the last one up to an altitude because everybody else with their monsters were so much faster. So there was that. Then so going from what was the first an air design when I was flying a trike then to a spider with the foot launching unit, it was so much faster. And then going from the spider to the drift air is extremely much faster. So it's what you want to do. And was I talking with you about this today, Will, or somebody else? I think I was talking to Rip about this. It's just some progression and how everybody progresses differently. There was a time where it was so important for me to be tandem and have a tandem glider and all that. But really, I think a lot of people will find as they're getting tandem exempt and getting tandem gear that it's a novelty that wears off after a while. At least it did for my family, where people are like, you can take it or leave it. And then you've got a $10,000 unit sitting in your garage collecting dust.
So for me, with my wing, the one and only thing I want to accomplish at this point is a wing over. Can I do it without even thinking about it? I 100% believe it's possible. I'm right there, and I just don't have the coconuts. No pun intended. To just pull a little bit more to make it happen.
So you absolutely can do it with yours. And
yes.
Leah Catullo took my spider up, and she did stuff that I thought I couldn't do with my spider. So it can be done. It's just maybe you need to take a wrap and pull harder and have your coconuts where they need to be and just go for it and chuck it. As Chris Holbert once said to me, just chuck it, dude. You just got to chuck it. Yeah. And give yourself a little bit more power as you're going into it to help push you over.
Yeah.
So there's things that you can do, and by having Andy or Leah or somebody else that knows what they're doing, they can coach you through it.
Right. And I've talked to both of them. They've both told me how to do it. Can I honestly tell you what my fear is? Biggest fear. After I've made that rotation,
Krista yelling at you.
No. Oh. I mean, I did promise her no acro, but that would be a descent technique, so it's not aggro.
That's what I used to tell my wife. What did I used to call it? She said, "You promised no acro." I said, "This isn't acro. This is I forgot what I used to call it. Something like a precision flying. Precision flying."
Yeah. So my biggest fear is once I've done the rotation, I'm sure once I'm in the seat, mentally, I cannot picture how to get out of the rotation. So
Opposite brake.
I'm yes, but in my head, as I'm sitting here in my chair and I do the rotation, and I'm like, it doesn't seem right. So that's where that's where the block is. It's not the fear of going all the way over. It's the fear of how do I get the hell out of it?
You'll stop. It's not like being on a swing where you're going to go back and forth faster and faster.
Right.
You come out of it, you come off the power, you give a little bit of left brake, and it just turns you into the opposite way.
Okay.
It's up here. Right now you're up here.
No, 100%. I 100%, 1000% agree.
Yeah.
It's all up here. I do wing overs now that my wing is so far below me. The whole entire wing is below the horizon.
Yeah, you just got to chuck it and
Yeah.
you'll be there. And give it a little bit of power and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And even when you're giving it power, it almost feels like you're more in control of it too.
Right. All right. So, Will, we're 11 minutes past, 12 minutes past where we need to be, sir.
Yeah, I know, but it was a great show, and I
Thanks.
really enjoyed it. I do want to answer Tony's question because he's asking about is there a problem with the with the fuel fumes, the gas fumes in my van? And I was worried about that because my van doesn't have a bulkhead, so there is nothing separating my paramotor from me, and it has been zero of an issue. So. I've only owned it in cold weather, so I don't know if the warmer weather is going to make a difference or not, or it might be the type of fuel containers I use or what, but I have not smelled gas one single time. I will let you know if I do.
Will doesn't wake up the next morning. We know that there was a problem.
I wake up, yeah.
So do you use avgas or non-ethanol?
Non-ethanol.
See, my paramotor sits right behind me in my game room. And anytime I've ever put non-ethanol in it, it ends up in a shed because it stinks his entire room up. I can't stand it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's a question. So, because I've always used non-ethanol, but so you use avgas, it doesn't smell, right?
Nope.
Does that mean it's not putting out chemicals?
I don't know. I can't smell it, so I'm going to say no because I can't smell it. I didn't.
Question. I really don't know.
I honestly don't.
It's like iocane powder from The Princess Bride. There's no smell, there's no taste, and there's nothing to see.
Yeah, right.
But it'll kill you.
The only thing I smell out of that avgas is the 2-stroke oil slightly, and I leave it in my truck I leave 5 gallons in my truck almost always. All right, let's get out of here. I know Mark's got to get up in about 6 hours. Will, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me on YouTube. Just search for Will Fly or go to willflyppg.com.
And Mark McElroy, where can we find you, sir?
On YouTube at Paralife PPG.
Dave Wolf, where can we find you, sir? Other than in the bathroom.
That's pretty much it. You'll find shit. The Bad Apples flying in May 18th. How's that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you find me here on Never Trust a Skinny Chef Shane or TikTok at ppgshane.com. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Great show. See y'all next week.
Night.
I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time, got no filter.